This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and yes, these are Splitboard bindings. The Burton Hitcher. I rode these with the Burton Tourist and got them on a few different split boards towards the end of the season. I bought these late, so didn't really get them in the conditions that I'd hoped for, like deep powder. But I got them in a little powder and got them on some groomers and compared them against my Union Explorer / Expedition and the Karakoram Quiver Prime Connect free range bindings. To give you a short summary, what I've found with doing a little slack country split boarding before the lifts open is that split board bindings suck. There just isn't a good split board binding in comparison to a solid binding. However, I've been on a quest to find the one that sucks the least. And for me right now, it's the Burton Hitcher. This is hands down my favorite binding. Mainly because it has all the features you need, it's light, and it's very functional, very reliable, and very easy to use. This is the splitboard binding I prefer to use when I want to do a little uphill travel, little slack country travel. Clint will do a more in-depth review with long backcountry tours, but I'm going to give you my slack country perspective based on the experience I've had. So first off, when it comes to weight, so they are 1.8 pounds alone, just as a binding like this. If you add discs, they're 2 pounds. If you include the mounting hardware that you need when you tour uphill, it's 2.2 pounds. It's pretty light. And that is the weight with a little foam addition I put on because I just don't like it that hard and rough. So these are pretty light bindings. Now let's talk Highback Flex. Nice, stiff high back. And as you can see, it has a negative flex. It does lean back a little bit, but not a super amount. When we're talking about like flex underfoot, there really is none. This is just old school. Doesn't really work that way. But when it comes to turn initiation and response, I found that my Union Explorers had a little bit better turn initiation, a little bit better board feel, a little bit better feel underfoot, but these were just so much better on the up and so much easier to get on and off that I chose these. But as far as turn initiation goes, response, board feel, they're okay. But that's just, you can't expect much from splitboard bindings. So, you know, they're not going to give you that Burton experience that you get with good Burton bindings and a solid board. They're just not going to do that. There is minimal shock absorption, but I love that you can put on this little light EVA foam pad throughout the binding here. And that makes my life a little bit better. I don't like a binding without good shock absorption. Now, when it comes to boot support, for uphill and downhill, I love this ankle strap. I've always loved the Burton ankle strap. It's not my favorite toe strap in the world, but it works and it's functional. And I found that side hilling with these is very doable, but I didn't really have an advantage with any splitboard binding I tried. I would say this is probably the most supportive for side hilling I've tried. But the Union Explorer was really close, and so was the Karakoram, a little bit more behind. But the Karakoram has this thing that you can attach up to the side and give yourself a little bit more side hilling power. So that might be a slight advantage for them. But they were just so difficult and so hard to use. And they just constantly, they had so many parts. It was a deal breaker for me. But nice and supportive on the up, and nice and supportive on the down. I love this ankle strap. It just works perfectly for me. Now the ratchets weren't bad either. I could crank them down pretty hard and they feel like they're pretty reliable. Sometimes I have issues with Burton ratchets cranking down all the way. They pop back up. These haven't been doing that, and that's pretty good. They feel like they can last, but it might be a good idea for anybody doing long tours to make sure you have replacement parts so you're not walking out. Now, when it comes to going uphill, this is just so easy to set up. You just pop this, slide it in, pop it down. You're in touring mode. Then when you're done, you pop this out, slide it out, and you slide it into the bindings that are mounted. It's kind of hard to line up the bindings, but it's not terrible. And then you just slide it in, pop this down, and away you go. It's so easy in comparison to Union that has to twist in, and sometimes you can't get the stance width you want or the setback on board you want because you have to twist and you're going to hit the clips. So that's really frustrating. With this, it isn't. And you can get canted pucks. So they have a little cant here to help with your body alignment, and I love that. They also have solid discs you can buy. So if you want to ride these on a solid board, I suggest don't. But if you do, you have that option. So that's kind of cool. And when going uphill, you have two modes. You have a high mode and you have a low mode, and that's essential for me. My early morning uphill slack country route definitely needs two modes, and the Union Explorers don't have those. I wish they did. I wish they had two modes because it would make them a better binding. When you're looking at the parts, you can see there are very few parts, and I love this just minimalist construction. It just makes for a very reliable binding, because personally, even on a short slack country run, I don't want anything falling apart. I don't want any issues. I don't want any trouble where I might have to walk the rest of the way or post hole in some deep snow. I just don't want to deal with that shit. That's just not me. And Clint has had some issues with other bindings like the Karakoram Prime Connects where they broke on him, and it was a very small, unique part that he didn't have, and he had to post hole out 5 miles. That's a nightmare. That would probably kill me. I am not in the shape that Clint is in, and I am not a super fit backcountry guy. So that's my nightmare, and that's what I love about these. They're just so simple. They're so reliable. They're very easy for uphill travel. They're great with side hilling for what I've experienced, and they just make a good binding. Yeah, they might not be the best on the down, but they're so good on the up, and they're so consistent throughout that I love them. And I would say this review could also stand for some of the Spark bindings. It just shows why Burton chose to work with Spark. They just do a really good job. And I would definitely get the pads, get the canted solution, and be safe out there. Be very safe. People die. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite, then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you need advice, fill out the eHarmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.